The movie starts with Claire. Claire's relationship with her husband is not going well because her husband, Garrett, has an affair with his secretary, and Claire knows about it. She has an argument with Garrett and he leaves her. She lives with her son, whose name is Kevin. Claire is a school teacher, and her son is also enrolled in that school where she teaches. 9 months have passed since Garrett left her. Claire's friend Vicky advises her to get a divorce from him. Vicky is the vice principal of the school in which Claire teaches.
He's the father of my kid.
Who cheats with his secretary every time he goes to the home office.
Claire tells her that Garrett is coming back home, and she won't leave him with that much ease. Claire thinks that now he doesn't have an affair with the secretary. Today is Kevin's birthday, and Garrett comes home at night to celebrate his birthday. Garrett gives his son a gaming computer as a gift. He invites Claire and Kevin to a fishing trip following a business trip he's taking in San Francisco, which is where his affair has taken place. Claire declines the invitation, but allows Kevin to join his father. She's still very much hurt by the deception. When Garrett and Kevin leave, Claire cries alone. One day, Claire is getting ready to take Kevin out. When Claire and Kevin are about to leave, the door of their garage gets stuck. A young man named Noah comes to help them in opening the door. Noah's parents died in an accident the previous year, and he lives with his uncle, who is bound to a wheelchair. Noah offers to help fix the garage door. He goes with Kevin to the hardware store. Noah tells Kevin that he's about to take admission to the high school in which he's a student and Claire also teaches. Kevin sees the most beautiful girl of his school, Allie, on the counter of the shop. Kevin has a crush on Allie, but is too nervous to talk to her. Noah encourages him to talk with Allie.
I don't know, I hate to tell you this, but she's already seen you. Go!
Very funny, yeah.
Come on.
When he's about to talk to her, his few other classmates come there and start to bully him.
What is this, huh? This your EpiPen? Your little penis first?
Noah sees this, but doesn't interfere. They come back home and fix the garage door. The next day, Noah is teaching Kevin about cars. Noah's uncle is in the hospital, so he spends a lot of time with Kevin. Claire invites him for lunch at her home. Claire mentions that she teaches classic literature at school, prompting Noah to quote Homer and express his love for the Iliad. Claire is clearly impressed by this. Kevin leaves for camping with his father, and now only Claire is home. Claire has a huge interest in books, so Noah gives her a book. Claire thinks that Noah is a good boy. At night, Vicky fixes a date for Claire. Claire goes on a double date with Vicky and her boyfriend Ethan with his buddy Cooper at a restaurant. Cooper is a douchebag, and she also notices him checking out a waitress, and she leaves for home. At home, she receives a call from Noah. He doesn't know how to cook, and he asks Claire for help and invites her to his house. After eating, Noah starts to flirt with her, and they come very close to each other. Claire tries to stop him, but he doesn't listen to her. After that, they both get physical.
This can't happen.
The next morning, Claire starts to regret what happened the previous night. She tells Noah that what they did was wrong.
Nothing about this is normal. Look at Noah.
And she goes back to her house. Garrett and Kevin then come back home, and Kevin tells Claire about the fun he had while camping. Noah comes to their house, and Claire is shocked to see him. Garrett gets very impressed by Noah. At night, Garrett says to Claire that they don't have to get a divorce, and he asks her for forgiveness. Claire understands him and forgives him, as Noah watches. The next day, Claire is teaching in her class.
Studying is the wrath of Achilles.
Noah Sanborn to join your
And Noah enters, and she asks the principal about it.
This is a class for AP juniors. Noah Sanborn is a
He tells him that it was Claire's request to put Noah in her class. But in reality, Noah did all of it. He hacked the system to put himself in her class. While going back home, Noah follows her. At home, Claire tells Kevin that his father's coming home at night and they'll have dinner like a family. Noah hears Claire saying all of this. Kevin and Noah hang out, despite Claire starting to feel uncomfortable with him. Noah takes Kevin to the woods with a gun belonging to his uncle. He then teaches Kevin how to use a gun. While teaching him, he says bad things about his dad, and he manipulates Kevin into hating his father for cheating on Claire. He says that the computer his father gave him was to compensate for the mistakes he made. Garrett comes home in the night, and because of Noah's manipulation, Kevin yells at his dad and talks with him in a bad manner.
Okay, you're missing it for 9 months, Dad. You just can't come back in here and expect to pick up.
Kevin has an argument with his dad and leaves the dinner table. In gym class, Noah asks Kevin about the dinner, and he tells Kevin to not let his mom and dad come close to each other. Kevin takes out his frustration on a punching bag. He overexerts himself and starts to go into shock. Noah rushes to the locker and grabs Kevin's EpiPen. He sticks it in Kevin's leg and saves his life on time.
You good?
On the other hand, Claire receives a flower from an unknown person. She thinks that Garrett has sent her flowers, so she calls Garrett and asks him about them, but he tells her that he hasn't sent any flowers. She then realizes that these flowers must have been sent by Noah. She's angry and goes to meet him. She asks Noah to forget everything that happened between them that night and to start a new relationship with her, a relationship of a normal neighbor. Noah listens to her and agrees. Kevin asks Allie out on a date. At first, she refuses, but when she sees Noah there, she gets ready to go on a date with Kevin, which means there's something going on between Allie and Noah. At night, Claire and Garrett come back home from their date. At home, Garrett kisses her and wants to get physical, but she stops him because she's not ready for all of this. She's still upset over the affair, but Garrett truly wants to start fresh. Noah is watching all of this again. He's feeling very angry and he's jealous because of Claire's relationship with her husband. Noah tries to forget everything that happened between him and Claire, but he fails. The next day, Garrett leaves for work, and as he does, he says to Claire that now he's not going to leave her at any cost. When Garrett leaves, Noah comes in and confronts Claire about it. Kevin comes there and she asks Kevin to stay away from Noah. Noah influenced Kevin so much that he fights with his mom for Noah, and after that he leaves for school with him. At school, Kevin's classmates again bully him, and then Noah comes there and beats Kevin's classmates up very badly. Vicky runs in to break up the fight, only to get shoved by Noah. He's pulled off by a bigger teacher. Because of the fight, Noah is sent to the principal's office, where Vicky scolds him. Vicky calls Noah's ex-school and gets all the information about his past, that he was kicked out for disorderly conduct. Vicky now knows that Noah was expelled from his ex-school because of aggressive behavior. After getting scolded by Vicky, Noah gets very angry and starts to abuse her. Vicky also gets angry because of his behavior and expels him from school. At night, Claire helps Kevin get ready for the school dance party. Kevin meets Allie in the school, and Allie tells Claire that there's something wrong with the boys' toilet, so Claire goes to the toilet to check. When she goes in there, she sees Noah's message about Claire written on the wall. Noah emerges from the darkness and tries to force himself on Claire, only to get kicked in the balls. Claire kicks him in self-defense and asks him to stay away from her family. At night, Claire sees Kevin's girlfriend, Allie, with Noah. The next day, Claire goes to school and she sees that there's so many pictures of her and Noah in the classroom. She starts to hide the photos. The classroom is filled with pictures, but she manages to hide them by locking the door of the classroom. All the students of Claire stand outside of the classroom, and the principal sees them and he comes by. The principal also has doubts that there's something wrong going on between Noah and Claire. She opens the door for the students to come in, and the principal expresses his concern over Claire's recent behavior. He tells her of what he heard regarding her confrontation with Noah in the gym. After school, Garrett comes to pick Kevin up from school. He let Kevin drive his luxury sports car. Kevin is angry with his dad, so he starts to drive Garrett's car very fast. Garrett asks him many times to slow down, but Kevin doesn't listen to him and keeps driving the car fast. Because of his speeding, he's unable to stop since the brakes are out. He nearly hits two cars until Garrett helps him swerve into a row of water containers on the road. Because of the accident, Kevin is scared, and he realizes his mistakes and apologizes to Garrett. Claire comes back home and she sees that Garrett's car is in bad condition. She thinks that all of this happened because of Kevin, but Garrett says that when the car crashed, he was driving the car, and he saves Kevin. Noah is also present in her house, watching TV with her husband and son. When she's alone in the kitchen, Noah comes in and he tells her that he also has the video of them getting physical with each other. Noah threatens her by saying that he'll show the video to her family. Noah then asks Claire to come to his house at night if she wants the video. At night, Claire goes to his house and Noah says to her that he'll only delete the video when she leaves her husband and comes to be in a relationship with him. Claire, after listening to him, rejects his offer and leaves his house. The next day, Claire tells Vicky about everything that happened between her and Noah and asks for her help. At first, Vicky scolds her, and then they both make a plan to get rid of Noah. She advises Claire to get into Noah's house and find the tape herself. After school, as usual, Noah follows Claire's car. They both stop at a red light, and Noah sees that Vicky is driving Claire's car. On the other hand, Claire gets into Noah's house. Their plan is to distract Noah and then delete the video. Claire gets a call from Vicky. She tells her that Noah has seen her at a red light. He goes towards his house from the red light. After searching for a long time in Noah's house, she finds the camera hidden behind a clock above the fireplace. She also finds a secret room. In the secret basement, there are a lot of pictures of her on the wall. Noah's laptop is also present there, and she takes the laptop and deletes her videos from it. She sees that there's a diagram of car brakes in the laptop. Seeing the diagram, Claire understands that Noah messed with the brakes of Garrett's car in order to kill him. After deleting the video, Claire runs away and goes back to her house. She calls Vicky and tells her everything she saw. When Vicky cuts the call, Noah hits her from the back and she faints. Claire asks the police about the accident case of Noah's parents. The police tell her that Noah's parents died in an accident, and they've closed the file thinking that it was drinking and driving. Claire now understands that Noah was behind the death of his parents. Kevin then receives a call from Noah, and Noah asks him to take Garrett and come to Vicky's house. At Vicky's house, he ties her up and he gets a call from Claire on her phone. Noah picks up the call and plays a recorded message of Vicky and also invites her to come to Vicky's house. After some time, Claire arrives. All the lights are off and it's complete darkness. Claire is frightened by Vicky's cat and stumbles against the closet, which opens up and drops Vicky's dead body. After seeing the body, Claire is very scared and runs back to her car. While sitting in the car, she calls the police, but before the police pick up the call, Noah comes there and takes the phone from her and disconnects the call. Claire tells Noah that she knows everything about how he killed his parents. Noah says that he loved his mother, but she killed herself after his father cheated on her. To take revenge for his mother's death, he cut the brakes of the minivan to kill his father and the mistress.
For you, okay? She wasn't your friend, Claire. I loved my mother.
Noah then takes Claire to the farmhouse, and in the farmhouse, Noah has both Garrett and Kevin tied up. Claire distracts Noah with her conversation and attacks Noah with a wrench, and because of that, he falls down, and Claire tries to set Kevin free. While she's untying Kevin, Noah gets up. He then throws gasoline in the farmhouse, and he takes out a lighter, when Claire pushes him and makes him drop it, setting the farmhouse on fire. Garrett frees himself on time and pushes Noah away from Claire. Noah fires a shot and a bullet hits Garrett in his shoulder, and he becomes injured. By seeing his father in pain, Kevin tries very hard to free himself. Noah then comes close to Claire, and she attacks his eye with Kevin's EpiPen. Noah starts to shoot at Claire in anger. Kevin, after trying very hard, finally frees himself and attacks Noah from behind, but Noah again stands up and aims his gun at Kevin. Claire sees that there's a heavy engine tied in the farmhouse, and she pulls a lever that drops the engine on Noah, and he dies. Claire and Kevin pull Garrett up and walk out of the burning barn house. They call the police. The police and ambulance arrive on the scene. They take Garrett into the ambulance with Claire and Kevin riding by his side. She continues to assure Garrett that everything will be okay and that they're finally going home. And the movie ends here. I hope you enjoyed it. To watch more explanations of these kinds of movies, click on the videos on your screen. And don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below.